Hello. Today we're going to make a deconstructed cabbage roll. So cabbage rolls are delicious. I love them, but I just find that I don't make them because they take a little bit of time. I might make them once a year. But this is a great, easy recipe. You do it in the slow cooker, and this can all be done in the morning before you go to work, and it'll be ready when you get home. So we start off with about a pound of sausages, and I've used the Jamie Oliver, I think it's the garlic and herb sausages. So what I've done is I've removed the casing over the sausage, and I'm going to add that in my bowl. Next, I will use, today I'm using moose meat, but you need about a pound of ground meat. So it's either beef, you can use pork, whatever you want. You can use turkey. We happen to have moose meat, so I have ground moose meat for today. Next, you're going to need a large onion chopped. We're going to use 2 eggs, well beaten. I'm going to have 3/4 of a cup of brown rice. I like the brown rice versus the white rice. And the difference between brown and white is that the brown still has the casing on the outer edge, which will make you feel full longer. So I'm going to get nice and dirty here. Actually, one ingredient I'm forgetting is fresh parsley. So I have 1/2 cup of fresh chopped parsley, and we're just going to get nice and dirty with our fingers and get in there and mix that all up really well. The next step is to have some nice cabbage. We just happen to have this beautiful cabbage from the garden, and I have so much cabbage now I need to do something with it. So this is why I thought of this recipe. It's great. So what I did, I just cut out the outer leaves, which I am using in the recipe. I'm going to remove the stalk. I do keep all of my little bits for my compost. I'll grab a bigger knife here. I'm going to cut this in half and remove the center stalk. Again, I keep that. And then I'm going to chop this up in little fine pieces. So the thing about cabbage, it's part of the cruciferous vegetables. And in the cruciferous vegetable family, you have broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, collards, and kale. And these vegetables have a unique chemical that's in their cell. So let's say they have a couple of them, more than a couple, but what happens is that the cell has a few compartments, and in each compartment there's different chemicals. And when you chew the broccoli really well or the cabbage really well, you break the cell wall, and then the two chemicals come together. And then there's a chemical reaction that happens, and that's that sulfury smell that you get from your cabbage and your Brussels sprouts and your broccoli. And that is what is actually an antioxidant. So it's great, it's good for your health. So it's really important to try to include some of these vegetables in your diet on a regular basis. So what we do now is we're going to layer half of the cabbage on the bottom of the slow cooker. And then I'm going to take half of the meat mixture and place it on top. I'm going to spread that around. Good. And then the other layer of cabbage. And then the remainder of the meat mixture. Next, I have a cup of stock, so you can use whatever stock you want, preferably beef stock, just because you've got meat. You can use chicken stock, vegetable stock, whatever you want. And I have an extra cup of water, and in there I'm going to mix a can of tomato sauce. So you'll notice that I didn't add any salt or pepper in this recipe because there is some salt in my tomatoes, and the sausages have seasoning in it as well. So I'm going to stir this up and pour this over the cabbage roll mixture. Then the last thing you do is you take 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now, I'm not a big fan of brown sugar or any sugar really. The World Health Organization recommends that we don't have any more than 9 teaspoons of sugar a day. And unfortunately, with our crazy diets, we end up having probably 35 to 40, and that's a whole different story. But 2 tablespoons of sugar divided between probably 6 to 8 people is not that much. So I will put some in. So we're going to sprinkle the sugar over the top. And this is going to cook on low for about 5.5 hours. So there's one last step when this is done, is to add sour cream over the top, and then you let it sit for about a half hour on low as well, or on high actually. So I will see you in 5.5 hours. Okay, it's been 5.5 hours, and I have to say it's very refreshing to come home and have supper pretty much ready. So it's really worth the extra work that you put into it in the morning. So we have one thing left to do, and that's to add the sour cream. So I usually put a tub, which is about a cup, yep. And I'm going to spread this over the top. And then I will leave it for 30 minutes on high. And what I like to do is close the cover for about the first 10 minutes and then remove the cover for the last 20. And this just allows the liquids on the bottom to evaporate so that you don't have too much liquid in there. And by closing the cover, you allow the juices from your sour cream to kind of, sink into all this juicy, great stuff. Okay, so I'll put the cover back on for 10 minutes. So it's finally ready. It certainly doesn't win any awards for presentation because it doesn't really look extremely appetizing, but I can guarantee you that it will win some points for flavor. And there we go.